Hi folks. I thought I'd start this one out a little bit differently than normal. For those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, you know that more recently most of my videos have been on Cayuga Lake fishing for lake trout, lilac salmon, rainbow trout. And day before yesterday I opted to try something a little bit different, something that I used to do a lot of and enjoy doing and haven't done as much of in recent years, but thought I would give it a shot, and that is to take my canoe out on the north end of Cayuga Lake. And for those of you that know the lake, you'll know what it's like. For those that don't, it's the portion of Cayuga Lake north of the railroad trestle where the water tends to be relatively shallow with a lot of weeds and a lot of reeds. It also has a fair share of lily pads. So I went out about 5 in the evening, started at 5 on the day before yesterday, as I said, and started casting. And I was casting a homemade bait. I had run across this bait commercially some time back and discovered that I could buy a mold from lure parts online for the lure, and the lure is called a Caney Croaker toad, I think. But in any event, I ended up with, by accident, I ended up with a 3.5 inch bait mold. Was originally looking for a 4-inch mold. In fact, I now have 3 4-inch molds, so I like the lure that much. But in any event, I had made a bunch and decided I was going to take them up to the north end of the lake and try them out. So I started out with a 3.5 inch white one, which I've discovered white. Well, it's kind of not a lot of people fish white. It seems to be something that will attract the fish. And keep in mind that this is sort of homemade, so I didn't put eyes on it, and I fished it just as is. And so in the video you'll see that the lure catches fish. I did, after using the white one for a little while, I decided to try a different color, so I gravitated to this lure, and this is the actual one I use, so it's a little bit beat up. But I picked the one with a white belly and a dark green back simply because I thought, well, the combination of the white and the green might be a good idea since they seem to be hitting the white. And I had equal success with this one, also in the 3.5 inch. I did not try this one, but I do have other ones that I've created over time. This one I put eyes on, incidentally. But this is a 4-inch version, and while I tried the 4-inch version for a while, it seemed to be not on the fish's radar screen as something that they really were that excited about trying. What I will also suggest to you is that for those of you that are unfamiliar with this kind of fishing, you want to rig it as a weedless lure. And I'm going to do a quick demonstration just for those of you that don't know how to do it, how to put on an extra wide gap worm hook. I like these from Gamakatsu. And for the 4-inch frog, it takes a 5.0. For the 3.5, I like the 3.0 hook. And I'm gonna demonstrate on the larger frog just because I think it probably demonstrates a little better for the video. And so what I've got is a 5/0 extra wide gap worm hook, and I've chosen what I would call a throwaway frog. It's one of my earlier experiments. Interestingly, the color is not bad. You look at the color and think, oh my God, what's going to hit that? But I've discovered that color in northern New York is actually very effective in a musky lure. We use this color up in the North Country. I have friends still up in the area that fish muskies constantly. Discovered that they happen to like this color. I typically use it on a little bit bigger frog or on a swim bait. But in any event, to rig this, you're basically taking the frog and you're going to take your hook and you're going to run the hook in the nose of the frog, pointed towards the belly, and pull it out approximately 3/8 of an inch below where you put it in. Bring the hook down through, turn the hook so that when you're all done, the hook's going to be facing up and basically the eye is barely sticking out of the front. Then as you look at it, you'll see that the arch of the hook comes just about at the tail end of the frog, so that's about where you want the penetration on the hook to hit the frog. So I'm going to put the hook through the frog, and that brings the hook out on the back. And as you can see, there's enough compression that can take place if a fish bites down that the hook protrudes from the back. But what you want to do is you want to slide it up so that the hook remains buried in the body of the frog or above it. You can even go one step farther, and that is to sink the tip slightly, and I don't know if you can see that, but that tip is sunk very slightly into the back so that it won't pop out. If the fish bites it, it'll pop out, but you want to be careful not to sink it in too deeply. If you put it in too deeply, you end up with bad hook sets. I would generally like to keep it just on top without burying it at all, but once in a while the frogs start to wear out a little bit, and the hook set gets a little loose within the bait, and the hook pops up, and then you're catching weeds, and so this rigging does tend to reduce the problems with reeds. Anyway, that's the rigging. Pretty simple. I learned that from a good friend of mine, Will Clute, who's a guide up on the Akwesasne Indian Reservation. He lives up there, which is on the Canadian border between New York and Canada. And I spent a lot of time fishing with Will, and he taught me how to rig those baits to ensure that they remain pretty much weedless. So, short video. Hope you enjoy it, and keep watching. Thank you. There's a decent fish, I think. Whoa. Yeah, I would say it's a decent fish. Looks like a nice bass. Nice largemouth. Whoa, a nice largemouth. Caught on my Caney toad. That's a pretty decent fish. Ooh, really good fish. Nice fish. Whoa, come on. Decent fish. nice fish. Nice fish. Another one. Nice little fish.